What's up, everyone? This is Tony, and welcome to the podcast. Before we get started, I do want to remind everyone to click the like button and the subscribe button if you enjoy the podcast today. That does help with the YouTube algorithm, and we're gonna get right into the podcast. So today, joining us are the Seattle boys. We've got William, who a two-time junior national champion, and Jacob Zhang, a one-time national champion, and both of them have been on Team USA in Junior World Championships. So, how are you guys today? Thank you for giving me the time to come in because I know you guys are pretty busy. But yeah, so we're gonna get right into it. I mean, the thing that stands out for both of you guys is that you guys both came out of nowhere all of a sudden, and then had really great results right away. And I think that kind of occurred after Coach Tang from China came to the United States, and he came to Seattle to train you guys. So what was that like to train with Coach Tang? Because he did have a huge impact on your game. Anybody can go first. You guys don't have to be.
Well, first of all, I guess it definitely wasn't out of nowhere. Like it was kind of a long process that we started with Coach Tang, and then slowly we kind of I don't know. It was definitely like a process of like learning how to fight against like people who you look up to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, William?
Yeah, I would say for me it was a bit different. It was also a long process, but when I first met Coach Tang, I was like just starting to get some results in like out of state tournaments, but mainly in like Chicago. So not like super big regionals, but they were still considered the super regionals for USA tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met him at 2016 Nationals, he watched my semifinals against Dawn. And
really?
it was a pretty life-changing moment when he actually like came up to me after talking to my dad, and he was like, I can coach you and I can make you good. And I was like, are you sure about that?
That's confidence right there.
Yeah. And so after that talk, it was kind of like, I knew I could get somewhere in badminton. It wasn't really like just dipping my toes in the water anymore.
Yeah. A lot of people actually don't know this. I'm gonna inform everyone. Coach Tang is actually he was a formal head coach of the China national team for women's singles. So he's an exceptional coach, a very experienced coach, and he was at Seattle, and he actually got in contact with both of them very early on. And
crazy fun fact: Coach Tang coached the Chinese national team at 4 Olympics, and then he won 4 golds in women's singles.
Yeah, and he was also the coach of Zhang, which was a gold. She won gold. She won a gold medal in the Olympics one year. So he's an exceptional coach.
Right? I think she won twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I just remember she won gold in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's an exceptional player as well. And a lot of people also don't know this about you guys, is that you guys actually started really early on in the in your badminton career. I didn't know it, and I knew you guys for a while. So talk about what that was like to like start really early on and not be able to reach the top.
Well, yeah, I guess for me at least, me and William both started pretty young. We started at I started at 8, probably started around the same age. But at the beginning, like Bellevue Badminton Club it was still like starting. So we didn't really have like that system set in place either. And we had like maybe a couple good players, but we didn't really know much about badminton outside of like our state or our region. Yeah. So it wasn't really till like Coach Tang came that we started, I guess, taking it more like seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also like you guys improved incredibly quickly after Coach Tang came into the picture, right? And if you could give one advice to these younger players who are really trying to make their breakthrough, what would it be?
I can take this one. So if you're already trying to like push to the top, I'm already just like assuming you're working like crazy hard. But I think the one thing that puts you above the rest is just being super into like watching the game and being able to analyze the game as much as you can, because you can learn a lot from your coaches, but without seeing like top level players play, and being able to know and understand why they're playing how they play, you won't really get to that same level.
I can vouch for William because I don't know, whenever I play William, he just has like a really, it's kind of like implicit, but he has a really good like intuition for the game. And then he always like, he's really good at anticipating, and he can like read the patterns. And sometimes he doesn't even like realize he's doing it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
He's just kind of in the flow of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does have
William,
that in him.
I think for me, my advice is, I guess, there's this quote that kind of stuck with me when I was, or a couple years ago. It's by Conan O'Brien, the comedian. But he said like, it's an illusion that the people who you kind of like look up to, and the people who are like, you know, in the court or in the finals or who have all the titles and everything, it's kind of an illusion that they've somehow figured something out. And I guess that's kind of my advice, is just, it's more about like the constant process of like, you know, improving and like learning and like being open to like new perspectives and things like that. And it's not like, oh, suddenly you've won this title and that process like stops. Because I don't know, Coach Tang always reminds us too, there's like so much further we can still go. Like, you know, just because you won like a national title, it's not like the end of the road, or, you know, there's just.
That's true. Yeah, because obviously after I win a lot of national titles, my mom will always talk to me and say like, every time you win national titles, when you come back home, you start from zero, you start from scratch, you start over again, right? So you always want to have that mindset to keep on improving yourself. You never want to feel like you're the best already, and you want to, you know, just be cocky and everything. So that's really great advice, you know, really great advice.
It definitely puts things in perspective. Just the fact that he's the one who like coached like a bunch three or four Olympic champions. It's like, you know, whatever you do, whatever you like accomplish, there's still like a lot further you can do, you can go. And it's not like he's gonna like view you more just because you've won like a small title or something like that.
Yeah, that is true. That's the high expectation of a good coach, you know? So that's really important that, you know, good coaches place that on their players. And eventually you guys make it out, right? And start winning some results, start winning regionals, start winning nationals. And I played both of you guys before on the court, and Jacob scared the poop out of me the first time we played. I don't think he remembers this one, but I did look back on tournament software and I found it. It was true. I think it was nationals or regionals one game, and you came out and I didn't know you. I saw on the draws, it was just like a guy from Seattle. I was like, new guy. First round, who cares? You know, new guy's gonna be an easy win. I'm gonna beat him, go home, sleep, and then like, you know, just relax. And then it scared the poop out. He came out, he beat me first game like 21-10. Okay, and the entire ZBTC like team just like they went crazy because they were like, what the hell is going on? Who is this kid? And I was freaking out because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna win nationals right here, first round. I'm so screwed. But I do want to say this before I go into the story. Jacob is an amazing player, right? But he does have this one mental block, especially when, I don't know, when we play together, when we play against each other, he tends to lose when he's in the lead. And I want you to talk a little bit about that and how you're able to overcome that mental block.
Well, honestly, I feel like that kind of mental block was something that came with just like not having a lot of experience at the beginning. But I think, like for me at the beginning, whenever I'd be like winning a lot, I'd like relax suddenly and like just lose the focus. And then as like the opponent started getting like a couple points, then suddenly I'd get nervous and I'd make a bunch of mistakes, and it kind of like snowball from that. So yeah, I guess overcoming it was just like kind of like zooming in, like being like, you know, every point is important. It doesn't really matter what the score is, you know.
Yeah. I think every player has had those moments, right, William, where you're leading and they come back and you lose a game and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that just happened. I remember I was playing Yutang in the Bintang tournament, and he's older than us, obviously, right? So I was super excited to play him, and I had no pressure, right? because I'm the younger guy. And I went in, I was just killing it. And then I was about to win the game. I was leading 2016 second game. And he came back and he beat me second game and won third game. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had a game like that, William?
Yeah, I definitely have. Especially since it was actually against Jacob at JIT. And it was like the last game of our pool, I think. Or for me, it was my second to last game.
I think it was like the tiebreaker for our pool.
Yeah, it was like
one of us. One of us was making it out.
Yeah, only one of us was gonna make it out, and it ended up being in the third game. I was up 2015, I think, and Jacob ended up coming back after that, and it was quite a humbling experience.
Humbling experience.
It was a one-time thing because then I proceeded to lose to William in like the next like 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think because of that one game, it really helped change my mindset when I went into like 3-game matches.
Yeah, those games really change people, you know, because like it's really humbling, those games. And see, that's what happens when you break through that mental block. You know, everybody has that mental block sometimes. And eventually, William, you do win your first national title in 2018 with Joshua. What was that like? How did you feel when you knew you had that title in your hands?
I think for me and Josh, we kind of knew we were gonna win after our semis because leading up to the semis, we were playing like really well, and then the semis we were just like dominating. And then it just so happened that who we thought we were gonna play, Josh and Henry, they actually didn't win their semis. They were upset by I think Alistair and Justin. And because of that, it was like we didn't feel as pressured because we knew we already had our game set. So we just needed to go in and just play. And so after just like getting into the game, were just like flying around the court.
Yeah, when you gain that flow, right?
Yeah.
And I've actually known Josh for a long, long time because he started playing when he was really young, and we always play against each other. And his family is great, and his grandpa is extremely kind. I remember his grandpa always used to line judge for me and stuff because I was this lazy fat kid back then. But amazing family, you know. And Josh is an amazing kid, really hardworking. He always fights back no matter how hard he falls. And what's it like partnering with Josh? Because you guys have been partnering for a long time. And what do you think makes you guys stand out?
I would say something different about us was that we were both front court players when we started playing with each other. Like I was always used to like trying to take control of the front and attack, and he was really good at like anticipating shots in the front. So because of that, we often had our rotation where we would just both be running towards the net to attack, and that was something I don't think a lot of players were ready for at first. And then over time, we eventually became more of a front back setup where I became the backcourt player and he was the front court setting up. And I think because we originally are both like pretty fast players and we have a really good feel of like where to be waiting, most people would just like fall into our anticipations and we would just be waiting for their shots.
Yeah. That is true. You know, the first time I played you guys, I was super confused because it was a weird style you guys played because both of you guys could play front and back. It was like, and I didn't know who was the front player. I didn't know who was the back player. And it was just like a little confusing sometimes. And it confused me because I was the opponent. And it was hard for us to find a strategy to kind of weave through it.
I think the funny part is that neither William and Josh really knew who was the front and back player either.
Yeah, for sure.
I always thought, you know, you would think Josh would be the backcourt player because he's a little bigger than William, but sometimes he plays front like really good. You know, he just goes in the front so it's hard for opponents to like see who's the front and back player. So that makes you guys really unique. You're right. That's very good. And I understand that both of you guys actually made the nationals in Texas, and you guys won first, but Jacob actually won it for mix, and William. Sorry. William made it for William won mix, and then Jacob won singles, which wasn't the plan in the beginning, right?
No, I was definitely trying to win the singles title.
I think for me, I mean, whenever like me and William play, we never really like specialize. So we were always like trying to do our best in whatever events we were playing. But it was just weird because I came off of winning like mixed at the World's JIT, and William did really well in singles at that tournament. So it just kind of flipped, and then William won mixed.
Yeah, I think it was really strange since that year I actually taken a break from mixed doubles for like the year since I didn't have a mixed partner since Tammy wanted to specialize in doubles and mix, and I was still really focused on singles and doubles. So I just took a break from mix until nationals, where I was like, I might as well just play since I'm already there. And I think I can speak for me and Jacob, where he said before, like, if we're playing an event, we're still gonna go hard no matter what, even if it's not our top priority.
And do you guys know what happened that caused you guys to completely flip? And then, because winning nationals is already hard enough, and you guys actually won the title that you guys weren't actually like 100% prepared for, you know? So what happened in that nationals?
You want to take this?
Yeah, okay. So my singles draw was pretty much back-to-back top players all the way up until the final. And in my quarters, I ended up playing Karthik. And at the time, I kind of had a block against Karthik since I beat him the first 2 times I played him. And then at JT Worlds, I lost to him in like straight sets. And I was like, I wasn't really sure how to deal with that. And so I was already feeling the pressure when I was playing him at nationals. And it ended up being a super tight game, but I ended up losing 25-23 in the third game. And so that was kind of like a really like disappointing moment for me since I knew I definitely could beat him. It was just at that game, he pulled through a little bit more. And I mean, that's like props to him. He's definitely a really smart player and he knows like, how to control the game really well. And to follow up that game, I had my mixed semifinal, I think, or I had my mixed game to my mixed quarterfinal against Winston and Tammy, which was also a really crazy story since Tammy had switched to playing with Winston and I switched to playing with Nicole. And so that game was pretty much like, did we make the right decision for her at least? And it ended up being also 3 games and we had won 25-23 in that third game. And that was like really surprising because I didn't go in thinking like we're going to take this game since I was still like kind of depressed from my singles game. And so that was like affecting my mentality in the first game. But my coach was just like, William, you got this. You don't need to worry. And so after that, I just like kept playing. And
you know, I was thinking last night because I think it was her first time partnering with Nicole. And from a player's point of view, you know, I immediately think, how would I play that game? You know, if I were playing against Nicole and William, how would I play that game? And I was like, it's going to be a tough game because Nicole can set up really well in the front. And your backcourt offense is just off the charts, right? So I was like, man, it's going to be a hard game for anybody to play, you know? And you guys, I think, would make a really great team. And obviously, you guys won that nationals together. And of course, in that nationals, Jacob won his first national title against Don in the finals. And I know Don really well, and we go against each other all the time. And he's a tough opponent, right? So talk about that game, Jacob.
Yeah, so I guess my mentality going into the tournament was like, I really didn't think I was gonna like do very well at all. So there was definitely like this huge aspect of like luck to it. But I had this like huge mindset shift about like maybe like a month or a couple weeks before nationals. Was just like, you know, it doesn't really matter if I'm gonna win this tournament. It was my last junior tournament as well, so I kind of had the mentality of just like enjoy this competition. And I guess like the mindset going in was just, as long as I like, you know, fight for every point, or just like stay focused and like focus on like enjoying like that. I don't know how to phrase it, but it's like just enjoying like zooming in and like enjoying every point instead of focusing on like, am I going to win this game or am I going to do well at this tournament? And yeah, it definitely a huge part of it was luck, but yeah, because of like that mindset, I guess it kind of just happened the way, yeah, it just kind of happened. I don't,
Yeah.
the game was definitely like,
That's the right mindset to win
yeah,
championships, because when you think about a title, sometimes that really messes you up because you really want it. You're like just going for those tough shots, and
yeah,
sometimes it's very unnecessary. And that's actually a really great mindset, and players should definitely have that when they're playing, these tough tournaments. You did mention when we were talking before the podcast that 2018 to 2019 was actually a pretty tough year for you. What happened that year?
yeah. Well, 2018 to 2019 was just like a year of a lot of like, I guess, even outside of badminton too, it was just like a lot of disappointment. And then there's some things that happened, a lot of drama in our club, and politics, but
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, maybe I won't get into that. It's just,
Yeah.
it was a lot of year of just like disappointing results, and like not just in badminton, but like it was also the year I applied to college. So there were college rejections, many of them. And yeah, so I think the shift really happened at Worlds JIT for me. Um, it was like kind of a moment where I was actually watching one of the games across the gym. It was Sri,
Sure.
Ritu Kola, and I was watching with his mom because like most Asian parents, the parents love to watch the kids, but no one really wants their parent to watch. So she was
Yeah.
watching with me on the
Uh-huh.
other side of the room,
Mhm.
and we were kind of just watching the game. And there's this one shot where Sri, it was like really easy shot. He just it was just a block, and it was
Mhm.
an unforced error. He just hit it into the net, and she like turned to me, or no, she was more like, "Oh no," but
Yeah.
she said like it's like those shots, like just hit it over. And that really like forced me to like zoom in and be like, oh, if I just focus on getting every shot over, focus on like what's the next shot, what's the next rally, instead of thinking like, oh, the score is like 11-all, it's so close, who's gonna win this game?
Mhm.
Um, just having that like mindset of zooming in really really changed how I like enjoyed the game, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good thing you said, because sometimes when you get nervous on the court, you kind of get a little frazzled. But once you focus on every single shot, the next shot that's coming up, you
Yeah.
sometimes forget about the nervousness, right?
Yeah.
And like you kind of just focus onto the game, and that's really important, for some players right now. And we all have those years. And also, I do want to congratulate both of you guys on getting to UW, right? University of Washington. Congrats to both of you. You guys go to the same school now, so you guys can keep up the rivalry. So, you know, so that's good for you guys. But yes, we do have all those years. We all have those years where it's like it's a tough year for us. I actually had one of those years in my last year in junior badminton. I just came out of injury, and it was really tough for me to play. And I lost first round. This is my worst year ever. I lost first round every single tournament, right? And like I haven't had that since like 10 years ago. But it was like I guess it kind of shocked me a little bit because I didn't expect that to happen. But it also opened my eyes and helped me appreciate what I had before as well, a lot more. But talking about the rivalry between you two, obviously you guys grew up together, and just like me and Derek, we go back and forth. You guys go back and forth all the time, whether it's in training or tournaments. Tell me what it's like to like play against each other during tournaments. Anybody can take it. Anybody can
I'll
take
just
it.
start with it really sucks. I hate playing William. It's like, when we train together, he like knows all of my patterns and everything. So even off like the serve return, sometimes he'll just serve and I'll like hit a shot and he's already there and he just like
Yeah.
smacks it down and it's like, oh
Mhm.
crap. There's it's really hard to play someone you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find it like because I'm able to do that, it's a lot more fun for me. But yeah, but I think because we know each other's shot patterns, the game becomes much more interesting because we're both like waiting for each other, but we have to be able to like redirect the shots and our patterns so we don't get caught up in each other's predictions.
Yeah.
But I think it's like whenever we're like sparring in like not as high intense tournaments, it's like it's a lot more fun. But then when it comes down to like really important matches, it becomes a lot more stressful because
Yeah.
he's waiting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like, your muscle memory wants you to hit there, but you just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, that's true. Because you guys, when you guys play together a lot, especially during training, you start, seeing those patterns in each other's games, and it's easier for you guys to predict each other, and then that makes the game a lot fun because you got to change things up, and then it gets pretty crazy, I'm sure. And I know both of you guys actually play 3 events most of your entire career, and I know how hard that is because I did do that, but until the end of my career, after I got injured, I started playing 1 event, 2 events. But 3 events is incredibly tough. And especially in the last day, and you guys probably had those days where you made all 3 events in the last day. And those days, tell me about those days, guys.
Well, I did not have those days, but William had many of those days.
Yeah. But you did play all 3 events, though.
Yeah,
but go ahead, William. Go ahead, William.
Yeah, so I would say for junior tournaments, it's not as bad until the last day, and then the last day is just it's just all willpower. You're just like, I have to go down swinging, and if I can win, I'll win. But if not, I'm just gonna do as much as I can to my opponent and make them suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I think when you're on that last day and you feel really tired, you just gotta push through it because it's like you came here to win and you have a chance to win 3 times, and it's like you don't want to waste that chance.
Yeah. That's true. When I played 3 events, oh my God, that's why I have so many silver medals in singles. Every single time I would finish playing mixed and doubles, and the singles final comes. I'm like, oh my God, what are they doing to us? Like there was one game I remember I played against Eric Dual in finals. We always played together in the finals back then before you came, because obviously after you came, I wasn't in the picture anymore. But like before you came, Eric and I always played in the finals, and by that time I was just like, oh my God, like just give me a break. But it was just so tiring. We're like walking on the court because we couldn't even run anymore. Both of us were tired as hell. But yeah, those days are really tiring. And talking about tiring tournaments, you guys actually went down and played Dave Freeman together, and William was able to capture the B men's singles champion. And those tournaments are actually pretty tough because they're against adults. Well, what's it like to play against adult players?
For me, it's way different since they have a much better feel for the game than juniors, and they're a lot more patient. So like when you think there's a chance, there's really actually not a chance, and they're pretty much just like baiting you into attacking them so they can like counterattack. And I think like I kind of got that from A singles, but B singles, it was actually mostly juniors who I was playing against. And so it was still about the same level, except for like 1 or 2 adults.
That's true. How about you, Jacob?
Well, so I lost first round in all my events, but I guess I can go about answering this in kind of like a roundabout way. For me, like playing adults was just difficult because that transition was mostly like the transition between going from like high school and juniors into college. And then, so I was living on campus for my first year. So it was kind of like a transition of just suddenly all like the systems of like, oh, and all the routines of just like, oh, on, Saturdays and Sundays, I go training or something like that. Or like every day, there's like, I train with the team at BBC or something. All of that kind of like disappeared. And it was really hard to figure out how I was supposed to like keep on playing badminton and keep on like training if I wanted to train, even though I didn't really have the same like ease of access to the resources I did when I was in juniors. And I guess going even broader, I feel like that's something that a lot of US players struggle with because, and that's why a lot of like US players and like players from countries that aren't like super badminton focused, a lot of them end up dropping badminton because it's really hard to just like find that balance of playing badminton and like focusing on education, especially when like you suddenly like move far away from your home and you don't have the same like connections or community as you did before.
Yeah, that is true.
So,
that is true.
Dave Frin was not a great tournament for me because I feel like I was still in that transition period.
And that mindset, right?
Yeah.
And and Yeah, talking about adult tournaments, I know what you guys are talking about. I did play a couple of adult tournaments myself. The older players, they're just more experienced and they have a lot of patience in their game, and sometimes that can wear a younger player out, like as the game goes on. So older players are, extremely great, and it's always good to have that experience playing against them, right?
Yeah.
And you guys also play a lot of international tournaments. Obviously, you guys were part of Team USA in the Junior World Championships, which is amazing. That's really hard to accomplish. And you guys also played in Pan Am's, Junior Pan Am's, but of course, like many people in their first Pan Am's, they don't do very well because it's a lot of like you're representing your country. It's your first time doing that, and there's a lot of pressure. Tell us what it was like for your first Pan Am's.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. So my first Pan Ams, I made singles and doubles for U17, and it was in Brazil that year. And my first round was both against Brazil players. Yeah, they were both against Brazil. And so I felt like really overwhelmed at first, since it's like I'm traveling to Brazil to play Brazilian players and
Yeah.
I'm gonna get whooped probably.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of had that mindset of like I have to be able to win, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm coming all this way, and if I don't even get through the first round, like what am I doing? And it ended up being I lost first round in both my events, and it was really disappointing for my doubles, especially since that pair ended up winning, and they beat everyone else in straight sets under 15, and we're the only pair that actually went to 3 games, and each game was around like 21-19 ish.
Yeah.
And so I think what I learned from that was just to like be okay with losing and know that losing is just a learning experience. And even though you're not like playing for the rest of the days, you're still able to watch other people play and learn from what they're doing.
Yeah. How about you, Jacob? That was good, William. That was good.
That was good. For me, my first Pan Am's was 1 year earlier in Toronto in 2017. I was there for singles, U17. I think the biggest challenge for me when I went to that tournament wasn't as deep as Williams, but it was just, it's like a different environment playing like bigger international tournaments versus like the US like junior circuit, just like small regionals or even like nationals. So for me, the challenge was just like adjusting to the new like conditions, and like I wasn't used to playing with such a high ceiling
Yeah.
or like such a huge arena either. So yeah.
Yeah, that is something. Oh, there's an echo from your side, Jacob, but it's okay.
Oh.
It's all right. But that is something that a lot of younger players go through, when they play their first Pan Am. And when I played my first Pan Am, it wasn't, very smooth either. I lost like first round to Jamaica. It wasn't even against Brazil, like William. It was against Jamaica. No, nothing against Jamaica, but and I was so sad after the tournament. I was like crying on the bench. I was like, what the hell's wrong with me? Because I played really well that year in the US, in the country, but when I went out, it was just bad. And I remember telling myself I have to win next year. Like, I just made that promise to myself, and I came back strong, and I was able to clutch that in the next year. But I think Pan Am is a great tournament to meet new people, meet new players, and gain that experience. And it's just a really valuable opportunity, And William, you actually played one of the greatest like junior players, Brian Yang. I just want to remind everyone, Brian won quadruple crown in freaking Pan Am's. That's like I've never seen that in my life. Okay. Like, okay, sometimes when players are great, like, you're like, he's not that great. Like, he's just overrated. But Brian is actually one of the, a really great player. And William, you had the chance to play against him. What was that game like?
Yeah, he's definitely not overrated.
Yeah.
I went in like definitely feeling the pressure. Like, he would serve, and whatever I hit, he's just there to just like set up for his next attack. And I was like, what am I even supposed to do? And that first game I lost 5, and the coach that was coaching me was like, dude, just hit the bird over first. I was like, okay, I got you. And just like being able to like think about just hitting it over and in, like repeat that process, repeat that motion, and just like try and get as many shots back as I can, and trying not to like give him easy winners, was just like it helped me like really learn from his playing style. Since my playing style, I feel like I learn a lot more from just playing other people. I'm able to like see what they're doing, and then I'll try to do that in practice and like try and use it as like if I can do it, and use it to like win more points. But I think his skill was just on a different level compared to all the other juniors. He just has really good sense of like when to set up and when to attack, and then he always puts you in really uncomfortable positions.
Yeah. He's a very mature player. His shots are very strategic, and he's very smart. Incredibly smart and incredibly patient with his shots. He can rally with you for like 30 shots, no problem. He just be running around the court and he just wear you out. He's incredibly strong, and his stamina is really amazing. Because I know a lot about him because Ricky, my brother, played a lot of games against him, and they go back and forth all the time trying to kill each other. But so I watched the games, and it's tiring for me to watch the freaking game because it takes forever for them to finish. And so he's an incredible player, And finally, I do want to ask you, William, about the first ever foundation scholarship that you received from Coach Raju's, his program. How do you think that scholarship helped you in your future for your badminton career?
Yeah, it pretty much guarantees that I'll at least keep competing for the next 4 years internationally. And ideally, it's supposed to help you yield better results and help you participate in the 2024 Olympics, which I really hope it does. But like in this current situation, it's hard to see what the future is going to be like since of like COVID and everything.
Yeah. I do want to applaud Coach Raju for thinking about, that scholarship, because I think badminton players, like junior badminton players in the US, really do need stuff like that to help them in their career, because the country doesn't help a lot paying our fees. We do have to pay for our uniforms. We have to pay for our flights. We have to pay for the tournament fee, everything, right? So it's actually a lot of expense, and it's good to have a little bit of money coming in to help you out. So that's great. And players who are in U19, definitely go check out that scholarship. I do want to give that shout out to Coach Raju, because I do want you guys to have the opportunity to go for it. And if I knew about it, he did talk to my mom about it a little bit, but she wasn't too she didn't really understand it. So I didn't really think too much about it, but I wish I applied to. But definitely go check them out. It's going to help you if you want to keep playing in the future. And so now we're going to get into the go ahead, Jacob.
On that note, shout out to BBC or Bellevue Badminton Club as well, because they've definitely supported me and William
a lot,
financially for Worlds and training.
Oh really?
Yeah,
they organized a fundraiser for us, so that helped a lot.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I didn't know about that, but yeah, for sure. That's gonna give you guys a lot of help, especially on the financial side. I wish all clubs did that for us, but props to BBC. That's great. And now we're gonna get into the questions asked by the viewers, okay? Because I did put that out on Instagram, and we have a couple of questions, okay? The first question we have, somebody wrote in. They said, "What's a typical day's routine like school plus training?" Anybody can go first.
Okay. For high school, at least, I would go to class the whole day, 8 to 3 ish around. And once I got home, I would eat, and then I'd have training for 2 to 3 hours. I'd come back and I just grind out my homework for that day, and then repeat that throughout the week. And then the weekends tend to be more a lot more physical conditioning, and then on top of 3 hours of training. And those weekends, if you are in high school and you're trying to make more time for badminton, just take that time to get ahead in most of your classes, because that helped me a lot. Since if I could get ahead by 2 or 3 days, or even a week in some of my classes, then during the weekdays I would have more time to train and do separate conditioning on my own time.
That's great. That's good. That's a good time management, dude. That's good time management. How about you, Jacob?
Well, for me, I didn't have as good time management in high school.
It's okay. I didn't either.
I mean, my way of coping was just I would sleep extremely late. But in university, the past, or it's different now that we're all online, but our current routine, I think, is just we have morning training now, and then it's really early in the morning because some people like William have 8:30 classes, so it's like we train before that, and then I have afternoon classes, so I come home and like do some work, and then I have classes, and then and then
nice.
deep until the weekend.
I do want to tell players don't sleep too late. Don't sleep too late. That's not good for you.
That's not good advice. Don't listen.
Don't sleep too late. That's not good. It's gonna give you headaches and stuff. You're not gonna feel great. But everybody has their different ways to do their thing, and if it works for you, that's great. Obviously. And our second question is, what is the most efficient method of training? Big question, actually. It's very vague, but William, you can anybody can go first.
What is like efficient?
I guess
or
maybe probably effective method of training. Like, what do you think helps you the most in training? I guess is what they're trying to ask.
I think in like a really general sense, you have to first know like your own weaknesses, and then once you know that, you can just like focus on those and then improve those into your strengths.
Yeah.
But it's like the way you can go about it is there's a lot of different ways you can do it.
Yeah.
I think the most efficient method of training would be more like you should definitely have that mindset to go in and put in the work, first thing. That's like the most important thing. And also like when you do training, like you should always keep in mind, like William said, your weaknesses and what you need to work on, because that's very important for you to know. If a player doesn't know what he's weak at, then that's a problem, because that's only for him to know. So that's really good, William, what you said. How about you, Jacob? What do you think?
I think in like a general way, kind of like what William was saying, maybe it's also kind of similar to what you were saying, but just like when you go into training, having like high standards, even like when you're training, it translates a lot into like when you play. So like whether you're doing like physical conditioning or like multi drills or like a single bird drills or whatever, it's always just like having high standards for like quality or like consistency and things like that. And I say standards because like it's important to be like consistent across all your training. So it's not just like, oh, this time I'm going to do 100 double jumps, and then next time I'll wait until next month to do that or something.
Yeah. That's really good, Jacob. That's a really good point. And like players should definitely take that advice, because it's really important. And I also think like for the efficient method of training, I just like to do more. When one player does, like when the coach says, hey, do 4 sets of like 20 push-ups, I would do 5. Do 4 sets of 20 bench ups, I would do 5, right? Because just doing an extra set more will put you up, because every single day, if you just do 1 set more in 1 year, that's a lot, so it's important, I think, for players, if you want to improve, always do more, a little bit more than what's asked, because that's what everybody's going to do. Everybody's going to do the same thing. If you guys all work at the same pace, you're never going to have that advantage, right? So you always want to do more in the end, right? I think that's right. I think a lot of players have that in their mind.
Yeah, I think that's a good point for like juniors as well, who are still in high school, because there's always like that constraint of I'm not doing this full time and I still have like school. So it's not like you can train as a team 24/7. So I think if you look at a lot of the top juniors in US, all of them have like put in the work outside of training with their club.
Yeah. That is very true. Our next question, last one from the viewers. How do you prepare for a tournament that is both domestic/international? And what advice would you give for people wanting to play badminton competitively like you guys? It's a little long question, but when you're ready, you can start.
All right. I think for like domestic and international tournaments, the preparation should actually be like pretty similar, since they're all still like tournaments. One might be bigger than the other, but at the end of the day, they're still like you're competing to win.
Yeah.
So my process is actually like about the same.
Mm-hmm.
And to like some advice would just be like every time you lose, that's like once again it's a learning opportunity. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't just think because you lost, there's like nothing you can do about it. Because there's definitely a lot of things you can learn. And unless if you're like leaving the tournament early, you can also watch other players, especially international tournaments where the Asian countries are like really high leveled and they're like, essentially like dominating.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can like take some of their at least some of their skills and import like use them in your game, that will also level you up.
That's very good. That's very good. Because obviously, like domestic and international tournaments, you don't want to prepare them differently, no matter how like more important they are. You always want to try your best during training and prepare to the best of your ability. I think that's the most important thing for players. You don't want to like differentiate because like when I was a younger player, I used to put in more work when it was nationals or when it was Pan Ams. I would be like grinding my ass in the gym, right? And then like if it was regionals, I just like take it back a little bit. That's not good. You should never do that. You should always put 100% in training, 100% in your preparation for any tournament. That's a very good point, William. How about you, Jacob? What do you think?
Well, in terms of like preparation, I don't think we focus so much on like periodization or stuff like that for training. It was always just like you train hard and then the tournament happens and you just like try your best and then you come back and it like keeps going. It's not like we train harder for like, or we probably maybe you have like a week of intense training before nationals or something, but it's not like super different. Yeah, I guess my advice would be when you like approach a tournament, it's good to kind of be ready for anything, as in like you have to be able to like adapt because a lot of the time you don't really know, you're not in control of a lot of like things that happen at the competition. So just having that mindset of like whatever goes wrong, I'll deal with it helped me a lot, at least while I was competing.
Yeah, things change really fast in a tournament. Like in a flash, things change. Like 1 second, the mood changes and like you're in the bag and you need to come back. So it's like it's very unpredictable sometimes. As much as like you want to prepare for it, sometimes it just doesn't go your way. You have to adapt. That's very true. And like I'm curious, do you guys have like a routine you guys like to do before tournaments that like every single tournament before the tournament you like to do like that routine? Because for me, I like to do like a set of exercises. Like before I go off to the tournament, I like to do a set of exercises, and then I would head off to the tournament. Then I feel comfortable at least. What about you guys?
I think our routine is just like whatever we're doing in training. Like we don't want to change as much when we go to the tournament.
We have a pretty long warm up at BBC, and just like repeating that every day at the tournament also helps you put yourself in that same mindset, especially since we treat training as intense as tournaments.
Yes, that's good. That's very important. Yeah, that's great. Finally, I have one last question. This gets asked to everybody on this podcast. I think you guys have been waiting for this question for a long time. I think you guys are pretty eager to answer this question. You guys have been playing junior badminton obviously for a long time, and you guys played many, many different players. Who is the toughest player that gave you the hardest time on the court?
William.
All right, I'm not gonna say Jacob because that's like too easy of an answer. But besides Jacob, it would probably either be Karthik or YY or Kyle.
YY.
Whatever name you want to call him by.
That's a good pick. YY is not a bad pick. Karthik is incredibly strong too.
Yeah.
How about you, Jacob?
No, for me, I mean, even if it's the easy answer, it's still William. Just because.
Pick Ryan.
Okay, anybody besides William.
Ryan's pretty tough to play.
I don't know. For me, it's just like every time I play against William, it's just like a different experience. Because like usually you go in and it's like, I'm just gonna try my best and play the game. But with William, it's like, oh crap, he knows everything I'm gonna do.
The mood changes and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you. I would actually say that's because like, even though Jacob and we have like kind of similar styles, but the way we think on the court is actually really different. Like something one of my coaches told me a few years back. He was like, the difference between you and Jacob is that when you play the game, you're like a feeler and Jacob's a thinker. Like he thinks about the game a lot, but you base it on like how you feel and where you think, like where you feel the shot is going to go. That's where you go. You don't actually think about it. I'm like, oh, wait.
Yeah, I feel like
that's
a lot of the time I tend to like overthink, especially when I play William, because it's like, oh, he's going to anticipate this shot, what I'm going to do. And then I hesitate. And then it gets really like mentally challenging for me.
Yeah. You know, that the coach that told you that is very smart. Now that I think about it, that's actually very true. That's very true. Because I played both of you guys, so I know you guys pretty well. That's really true. Jacob does think a lot, and then William just has a great feel for the game. You know, this one shot, the next shot he knows is coming, you know. But obviously Jacob is also very smart on the court, and he can think up a strategy that is incredibly great. So yeah, that's the end of the podcast, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming in and giving your time, because I know you guys are pretty busy with college and training and everything. So thank you guys for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. I hope you guys had fun. I was a little nervous today. I'm not going to lie, guys. Okay. It is my first time doing an interview with two people. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you guys for coming again, once again. And this is the end of the podcast. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give it a like, click the like button and click the subscribe button to show some support for the channel. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And besides that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.